Evil Dead 2, 1987 sequel to the horror film from Sam Raimi starring Bruce Campbell. Fun fact, the film was made primarily thanks to Stephen King, who was such a huge fan of the original that he convinced a producer friend of his to finance a follow-up. The film starts off right where the first one ended, or actually even before that, because the first 5 minutes or so are a recap of the events of the entire first movie. But because the filmmakers couldn't legally use the footage from the original film, they reshot some of the scenes, in the process changing many of the significant details of the story. What stays the same is that Ash is at the cabin. He's the sole survivor of the demonic possessions of the previous film. He tries to escape, holds back at the cabin, eventually resisting his own possession and fighting the reappearing spectres of previous victims. Meanwhile, new people are coming up to the cabin, and as they join up with Ash, they all have to fight to survive. So in the first 15 minutes or so, it seems like the film is going to be an exact rehash of the first one, just with a bigger budget. But the structure, location, idea, even the nature of the film, exactly the same. But then as time goes on, the movie becomes increasingly more different, especially in terms of the tone. It's much more darkly comedic, with some sequences being straight up slapstick, physical comedy. And the story itself also gets progressively more insane, with the ending being just nuts. So it's kind of a strange experience watching this straight horror slowly morph into something much more resembling of the classic macho cinema of the 1980s. Lone man against mortal danger, ridiculous one-liners, goofy special effects, irreverent humor, and all the rest of it. Unfortunately, I personally still didn't like it very much. I think it's not different enough from the first Evil Dead to really be interesting, and for a lot of its runtime, it just feels kind of derivative and not particularly original. I know it's probably more of a cult film that is meant to be watched together with friends and a lot of alcohol, but for me, it simply didn't work very well. Is it an improvement over the first Evil Dead? Sure, absolutely. Is it a good movie straight up? No, I don't think so. There are some enjoyable elements, but on the whole, I found it pretty average.